question for you specifically, Tix, is because I've asked you this last time, what would break you to a spend? And you still didn't give like a definitive answer.
I have a
But
definitive answer.
what?
It is if there is another unit, or if Flame Chun-Li returns, or if there is that is as strong as Flame Chun-Li, I would break it, because a bossing unit I value it pretty highly because of the gains that you can get for
Mm-hmm.
those units, and just the factor of how fun she is, alongside how strong and almost a must have she is, drives me to be like, oh, actually, I'm paying this unit, but I'm also paying for a really fun time. And when I say a really fun time,
Giggity.
is yeah, yeah.
I know who
You,
you have on your background wallpaper. Oh wait, you don't have her, so
yeah. So with units that has high risk, high reward, you get more attached to it because it's not easy and consistent to get that result. So then when you do reach that goal, or when you hit that golden run, then you feel the highest high than just doing the team, and it's more consistent. Like having that, like to actually play and think with the character, that's like a good fun factor towards the unit that would drive me to buy it. I'm not buying it for a meta, I'm buying it also to have fun playing that character, because she is so RNG based, and with things with RNG you get more emotionally attached when you get that golden run.
yeah, because you're like, no one else could do what I just did. Mwahaha.
Exactly. Like if it's not easily replicable, then I find that I would spend a unit like that. I would if Flame Chun-Li is back, I would spend on Flame Chun-Li. That's just a TLDR. That's my definitive answer.
Because the other question I was gonna ask this was like, how far in story would you go before you just like, all right, I held this free to play banner for long enough.
Um, I'm already at that point where it doesn't really matter, because like people are not saying, "Are you really free to play?" or stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, because everyone is at chapter 36. The gap between chapters to make it unbelievable or stuff like that was like 10 chapters ahead. Like
Yeah,
during the early days where like, oh, I'm here, and then I'm way ahead. And how do you do it? Because no one beats Zangief cheese, and that was like a really big progression push. And that aspect of like, free to play, how do you do it free to play, but no one asks it anymore, for me to be like too emotionally attached towards that title.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, no one says it anymore, because they probably either one know the sauce and know how it works, so then they're not curious and play does it. But then I'm also, right now I don't have anything to gain and say I'm using free to play units, right? If I have one unit that's not free to play,
Mm-hmm.
then I mean, I guess you can say it's like, it doesn't, for me, you don't diminish your uh like if my free to play title was broken, right? People just view it as an easy scapegoat to pinpoint your success into. Just because you spend, you're
Mm-hmm.
not successful, right? Which is not the case. A lot of players are really, and they still spend, right? But then they get this credit or disregard just because they spend.
Yeah.
And it's just a way to like, it's like a warranty sticker, you know what I mean? Like if you open up, or if you open up your wallet, then the warranty is already broken, and then no one will believe you, or no one's gonna say, hey, you did not open this sticker, right? So I'm not gonna trust you and stuff like that. But if you have that sticker, you can just shut them up and say, yeah, there's no, you can't say anything else, because there is no other special uh, methods to get that result. Is just there,
Yeah.
so then like another verification that what I'm asking is not out of the ballpark, or not out of
So you're
the range.
really eyeballing the next small unit, basically.
Yeah, it depends.
I'm excited. I'm excited. what criteria for, so because we have Fashion Blanca busted, Fire Chun-Li, Lame Chun-Li busted, Fashion Sakura not so much. I did want to talk on that. Is it more because not many people have her, or is it because she's actually just not that good?
I think it's more because if if Flame Chun Li is a really good bossing unit, like Nero's a really good bossing unit. Not a lot of people weigh, or not, by bossing I mean PvP unit. Like if Nero's good in PvP and multi-story, but then people don't weigh that a lot as much as bossing unit, and Flame Chun Li is in the bossing unit category. So then their their value is inflated highly because this unit is crazy only in bossing, to be fair, only in bossing, but then just because it is a bossing unit, then she is skyrocketing that value really much. But if you compare Nero, he's really good in PvP and other contents, but then not a lot of people would dish out that money because that the emotional gain isn't as much as bossing unit. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah. See, Don, just with that stuff like that kills me. Solo said that he places Nero for chapter progression second to Honda. And I'm just like, man, it feels like I should get Nero.
Nero is good. It's just people are blinded with how they want bossing unit because those are shiny. A lot of people look at the bossing unit more than PvP unit or stuff like that, or your PvP
Yeah,
performance.
I guess for me, I see it differently because it's like, because I don't use Beast Tengu, it needs to be impactful for story more than anything else for me. Because like my satisfaction of playing the game is beating story mode. You know, I have different agendas than leaderboards. So
Exactly. So it depends on how you value things, right? And then
yeah,
if you do wanna invest in a unit, that has to fall in line with your goals. Your goals can be different with other people. Like you can run OG poison, it's fine. You just have your own goals, and then you build upon that goal. Like, okay, if I really want to pursue OG poison, if a unit that release supports her or has some synergies with her, then I would invest in this unit, right? That's just with your how the goals that you want to play. Like if you want to play no B Zangief, then you invest in units that maybe does or fills his special niche and role, and that's it, right? You just, it all depends on how you reach your goal. And my goal is just right now to bossing units priority. That's my goal. So all my FS30s has been just all geared towards bossing. Maybe I have too much influx towards bossing. Sometimes they work in PvP and PvE game modes. They intertwine, but in most of them is just all geared towards bossing. And then right when I'm already comfortable with my goal, then I can start to explore a little bit outside. Maybe I can have some fun projects or when I'm already satisfied with what you have. And having a goal is also, it keeps you not out of stray.
are you willing to share some of the projects you're working on now, or is that like Chicks' secret?
I mean, I don't have a lot of secrets because here's the thing. I never summon on standard banner just because there's so much diminishing returns with summoning on standard banner because of how the rate that they're pushing out RGB units or red, green, blue units, that at a certain point you summoning on the general banner is actually hurting. You're just burning your gems because you're gonna reach there with the pace of how they implement units. You're gonna reach there and you're so much food that you don't use that food for anything else. Everyone's probably 5-star or near it, and you have too much food, and then we're gonna start seeing some which got feedback saying, hey, there needs to be a system to turn in food or convert OG units into other OG units or something like that. There's going to be something like that in the near future if people are keep on summoning on the standard banner. Well, I forgot what's the initial question. I went off stray. Oh wait, my units that I built.
Yeah, the what's your project that you're currently on right now?
I,
If you're willing
I
to share.
right now it's just all geared towards PV bosses. But then since my bossing is already comfortable,
So you
I'm
have Cammy and stuff like built up?
I don't have Cammy just because I don't need her for my current boss team. If she was a flame unit and I have Flame Chun-Li, then I would build her, right? But then she does not work with the second best team, which is Street Poison comps, rather than Flame Chun-Li comps. And her animation is too long to not benefit that. So then there's no warranty for me to pursue building OG Cammy. At least down in the priority, maybe.
I don't know if Don is here. Don, you around? You willing to break some stuff down? I know.
Yeah, I think I talked too much.
You didn't talk too much.
Apparently,
You
my
talked just
microphone
enough.
decided not to work.
What
So
happened?
I was saying some shit, but my microphone
Oh,
wasn't picking it up.
I didn't hear anything. That's why I'm just
Yeah,
checking
no,
in.
that's my end. It was my end.
So you have anything your 2 cents you want to throw in on like the wiki right now? Basically, the topics overall is like units, the criteria of judging a unit, like on tier lists and stuff like that. Because like the tier list that Books is working on with the wiki, it has numbers backing up this stuff instead of just saying, oh, I think this and me and 5 other people think this or whatever, and it's just word of mouth. This one actually has data and stuff like that. And then it evolved into like criteria of unit, projects that you should be working on after Bison, the things that you should look for outside of Beast and Yeep and Bison, because everyone already knows that those are the kings, but we need second place and third place for the future teams.
So I actually wanted to go and give you what I meant when I said that this event kind of made Wales realize like they might need these
Yeah.
OG basic units and stuff like that. Because so when I was going through the leaderboard, I was just like going through some of like my servers, the Giga Whales on the leaderboard and stuff like that. And especially once I realized you can see exactly which FS they have just on the profile picture. I didn't know this until like a couple days ago. So when I was going through,
Wait, what? Excuse me? You can what?
okay,
You
okay,
can.
yeah.
Well, first of all,
Check this.
the
Check
context.
this.
I told the story about you figuring out the fast chant stuff on your run.
Oh,
I didn't.
yeah, because
I only wanted to put spotlight on you because I was like, Don is the master at this game, because I legitimately like when you were doing it and I was watching you, and you're like, yo, you see this? And I'm like, I don't see shit. I legitimately did not see it. And you're like, oh, I figured it out. I was just like, yeah, thank you, Senpai. You taught me the wonders of this, because I did not understand that. So please share your wisdom.
So I'll just put that there. But yeah, so you can tell like the little, if you look at the little icon underneath, you see like how in the picture that I posted in the fighters main chat, you see how Bizang has those notches that are kind of up, down, left, right, and he's got these little wings. That's FS20. But then if you look at Viper and Guile, they're angled like an X and the wings are bigger. That's FS30.
Oh, so that's what the wings are for. I've been trying
I
to
didn't
figure
notice
that
this. I
out
brought
for
it up
so
to Book,
long.
and Book's like, yo, yeah, I noticed this. This is like a quality of life they put in. And I was like, oh, shit.
When you look at the Beast Zangief there, you notice how the wings have 2 pips. That's FS20. They go down to 1 pip when it's FS10, and it's a much smaller circle with no pips when it's FS5.
Yeah, I took pictures of all of it. I'll put it in. I got pictures of all of them, like clean pictures of all of them.
Because I knew the stars were the cars.
Yeah,
that was a given. Like people
Yeah.
were like, yeah, just look at the stars. But the oh my god.
So once I had armed with this information, I was going through. I'm looking at the comps of like some of the guys who have like crazy, like they got Virgil maxed out already. They got this, but I noticed they've got maxed out FS30 6-car Virgil already, but they've got FS20 Chun and they've got FS20 Guile. And then this event comes and they see everybody knocking things out of the park with Guile, or even getting crazy numbers with Chun, and it's like, why? We're all like FS30, so we're getting, the either the stacks, the saber stacks don't go away, or we're gaining crazy meter, especially in this event, because we can put on crazy amounts of crits. So every hit that Chun does is just meter, 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 meter all day long, right? But there's also other things that you don't really need the FS4, but the reason they might actually start looking at, say, Chun, is that like her Kikosho in the last event, like on Virgil, the last Virgil that we had specifically, does insane damage because it does more damage for the amount of enemies it passes through. And I noticed a weird thing where if you can get a Kikosho off, Virgil gets hit, attacks, and then while it's traveling, he'll come back. He actually gets hit twice. So that Kikosho acts like it hit 5 enemies. And then just off her super, Chun can do like 6 billion damage. So it's like...
Yeah, I also...
Sorry?
No. Since Pika told me use Viper in the Guile team, I was like,
Yep.
okay, I don't have Viper on. No, I have her FS30. I don't have Viper on my third team where she's running with Chun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually better because Chun now does an AoE super with I don't use her C3 actually.
Mm-hmm.
I use Cammy's C3. Pika said it was better, and it is better. So then I was like, I think it's mainly also due to her C2 is more AoE friendly. I think. I don't know.
Chun's C2?
Yeah, Chun's C2.
The bird kick? Yeah, I know she gets meter off the bird kick as well.
Yeah, I mean, she gets meter for any crit, even auto attack, right?
Okay, yeah.
The super, but I replaced Chun C3 with that C2. Maybe it's also because the animation's almost instant because her C3 into super animation is super long.
Yeah.
You can't poison stack with that as well.
Yeah. So I wasn't building her on poison team, but it's just things like that, and then like they'll begin asking, or I've even been DM'd and asked like what's going on here? How do you have so much meter here? Blah blah blah, and then you just say like, oh, like Chun's FS30 is like really good, and then slowly I noticed, checking again, I look a day later, and then suddenly some of them have FS30 Chun, they have FS30 Guile, you know what I mean? Like, yep. I think they're realizing how good some of these base units are. Like even Viper, with her 6, like her cars, and then her giving energy armor off to other people. That's pretty big damage. It's like 5% per energy armor stack she gives.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like I'm looking at my friend's Merc right now for Chun-Li stonks.
Yeah.
And the first guy, plus 23. It mostly was plus 0 or plus 25. I mean, plus 30. And then going to the second, plus 22. Going to the third, plus 24. Going to the Giga Whale, plus 22, who maxes almost all the Infernal and Master, is starting to work on Chun. The fifth unit still plus 20, plus 30, and then plus 30, plus 20, and then plus 22. Yeah, so then you can see that, like legit, it's not like some units are plus 30 or plus 20. It's more like so much units are in the betweens of plus 20 and plus 30. So they are in the working phase.
Yeah. They like started building and then they got distracted by the new shiny that came out and maybe forgot about them or whatever. But I bet you by the time the next event comes, all of these guys who spend a lot are going to have these units 30-30, and they're going to be serious contenders. Like again,
I think
they're playing manual.
I think it first started. People started kicking in with other units being good with the Akuma event.
Oh yeah, her stonks were pretty high for the Akuma event because let people know that hitting so many times or having a lot of super in certain multipliers and bonuses is beneficial because you take advantage of the multipliers more since you do more combo or more multi hits, whatever that bonus is. Like for this one, the agility does true damage or something like that, and Chun-Li does a lot of crits and
Yeah.
does a lot of that. So she gets higher stonks in certain modes, and the Akuma one, the one that topped it all, was like Luna something in the in-game names, and he was using Chun instead of Guile. Everyone only had Guile. And yeah, people started to realize that having these unique characters in your arsenal is really strong. Like I would have unique characters rather than just characters that fits the same role or does the same thing, but then you just build it because they're good anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the reason why I throw the Kuma event is that with the mods and everything, people were realizing burn and fire, and the whales that had Dawson built were topping the charts, and then the other people were catching up. Like, oh, now I have to build this character. They're realizing like bossing and stuff like that, especially with how these modifiers are. You can't just rely on the new shiny thing because it ain't gonna kick the bucket the way you want it to compared to some of these units.
Mhm. Like, it's crazy. There's still a lot of people these days that don't realize that Zangief can kill passives. And whenever people go, "Oh, how do you kill Bison?" It's still, "Oh, you have to build Evil Ryu." Like, always you got to build Evil Ryu. But it's like Zangief is there, even though you have to use a C2, which isn't even a bad. It's not even a bad button. It hits heavy, and it scales off his defense, and he gets a crap ton of it, and he heals himself off of it. So it's like not a bad button at all. You just gotta like time it, and
You know,
it
I
looks good.
still, even with him being out for a bit, I still don't even know how Evil Ryu counters Bison. Like, I know he turns him off, I just don't know how.
He doesn't turn him off. He
He
can
does it.
he can hit him while he's invulnerable. He ignores that invulnerability stage.
Oh, okay. So
And
he has
That's
to be
all
the
it
one
is.
to kill Bison.
Yeah, he has to be the one to kill him.
That
With
makes so much more
Zangief,
sense.
he
Okay.
can slap him, turn him off, and then your C3 can mop Bison up. You know what I mean? Like, you got 8 seconds to mop him.
My only problem is with that, with those stages, is because I merc Zangief's. I don't have my own. He's the project that's there for now.
Yeah.
I have a game changer tip for you, Sir Turtle, once you're done.
Oh yeah, it's just when Bison's second and Zangief doesn't get to slap him. I'm just like, God damn it.
So it's really good with Zangief because he can mitigate that soul damage. I will wait for him to charge in, because since Bison C3 pushes everybody back, he stands there for a second. While he's pushing in, you can slap him with Zangief before he teleports back. So he gets debuffed before he gets back. You just have to be sure that you can kill him on your next
You have to
rotation.
be on point with it. Okay.
Exactly. So
It just-
there's a little timing required.
Yeah, it's like how you maneuver your E Honda in. You're maneuvering what you call it, Zangief's C2. But another
I can DM you a video later and explain.
yeah. Another important stuff that is not public, that no one talks about, actually, that really makes Bison Stays a joke, is if you have Evil Ryu's EX move and you pop it, you actually kill the enemy's fatality, or it goes through enemy's fatality thing. So if you know Bison is about to go like explode, or you're gonna kill it in the next combo of like Guile or something like that, you don't pop any other EX, and you pop the Evil Ryu's one, and it doesn't like make your Bison die. Well, it does. I'm just saying it doesn't only make your Bison die, but then you actually negate their Bison can die. And not a lot of people are
using Bison, then you're laughing.
Yeah.
Wait, the
Exactly.
EX is the Bison counter?
Yeah. Even if you use it, like you use it yourself, then you can kill their Bison. So in story mode, not a lot of people are using this. They're using other modes to or MHCan EX or MHCan Merc or other like OG Zangief. But then there's another method where you actually just use the Evil Ryu's EX move itself.
Oh man, I don't have
And
it, so I didn't know anything about it. But that's dope.
yeah, I mean, it's more like a luxury thing in the sense where if you have it, then you have an easier time in Bison because you can just straight up not worry that he dies. You can just kill him by proccing it. But then also, not a lot of people pulled for Evil Ryu's EX move. Anyways,
No, I fell into that one. That was like the first EX where I got the whole thing, and I was like, it's possible.
oh, you got Evil Ryu's one.
Yeah, I got Evil Ryu's one.
At least you
like
can do that. You can use that technique at least if you fight. There's definitely another Bison in 30,
well, that's
37.
the thing is,
And
I
36.
just put up my Zangief against Bison comp, or I just use Chun and I outspeed them. Because like, so it's really it's like really weird because the way maybe it's just like the way this stuff lines up, but I found, especially because I have Gormagala EX, I found if I hit the Gormagala EX and it knocks them back, and then I hit the Kikosho, and then say like I use Beast Zangief to bring him back in, Bison is always behind the unit that Chun is going to feed her, like, because she does the 2 AoE kicks and then she goes to single target.
Mhm.
Bison is always behind that unit.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like, if you're fast enough, because like she gives you enough meter to, you can chain it so Bison stays behind and you can just kill everybody else before you even have to deal with Bison himself.
I
So
mean,
that's why, like, I've always used her for all of my Bison stages, and it's never been a problem.
I mean, I do agree with you in the sense there's ways still to counter Bison stages. I'm just saying this might be like a little bit more of like a brain dead shutdown. You just kill without worrying about any mechanic type
Okay.
beat. If you have it, you can still use it. But it's not like it's a must. Like I would say, if Virgil's EX move is more like, okay, I'd forget Evil Ryu's one, even though you can use it for that one specific niche content easily.
Mhm.
Might as well just go all the way for the Virgil EX move, anyways, because
That thing is going to be stupid. That EX, if you, everybody who's going to be at the top of Crusade leaderboards is going to have that EX.
exactly, and
Everybody.
not only that, but if you use that to cheese content pretty well, like
Yeah.
you can just click that one button and then eat whatever super or chain or something like that without worry. It's basically just like another intro. So yeah,
It's nuts.
So one team mandatory to have interrupt, and then the other team is just damage check DPS.
I mean,
Or you
ideally,
want to have like, is it mandatory to have interrupt in each team?
ideally, interrupt is the best way to mitigate damage, because the other methods, like with damage immunity able or the Virgil EX and stuff like that, it's more one time and more less friendly over time, because you don't have that tools. It's time gated or stuff like that.
And this is because of how accelerated interrupts makes people that
Yeah.
you have to think differently outside of just like, oh, my power is equal. And like, because I'm pretty sure, like, for me, I'm, since I don't play B thing even interrupt, I do either hit, when I hit my wall, I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna wait until I power up, but I'm not like 1-for-1 level, but they're not double or triple my power. It's more of a reasonable thing. Like, so right now, let me see where I'm at, my power versus theirs. I'm at 8.3 mil and their power is 13 mil. So I'm thinking once I get to like 9.5 or 10 mil, I'll probably be able to beat it without a problem.
Yeah. I mean, with those high level contents right now, like in tower, I don't know if in chapter, actually, yeah, chapter a little bit. They scale it higher and higher every single time, so then it's more interrupt intensive over time. Because even in tower, after you reach floor 250 or 270 in the OG faction, the scaling goes higher and higher, or the gap becomes higher and higher per stage. And also they bump up by 20 levels or something like that, something ridiculous. So then it's more like having an interrupt, or if you're using an interrupt, it's you can handle the spikes of the higher difficulty increase, because you just outgate don't need the levels, over levels. I'm not over levels. The barrier of entry in terms of levels, investment, survivability is way higher.
So in terms, so would a team like, let me see, let me try to do something like Honda, Sagat, Elena Rose.
In that team,
Would
I would
something
say
like that work?
I would say it doesn't, because the only damage dealer over there is Sagat, and his damage does not scale. So there's no armor break or defense ignore or dots or anything that would scale, because it's all just pure multipliers. He's more of a utility, and that provides some damage. He can interrupt. He gives damage reduction. He can survive. He's a meat shield, so that's his purpose. But I wouldn't say his main stuff is
DPS. So let's replace Sagat with Vega. So Honda,
and
Vega, Rose, Elena.
I guess it could work, because Vega's damage isn't. It's actually, I don't know. I think
Vega's
it could work.
damage skills just like any like burn, because it goes off of that missing HP and just
Yeah, I think
constant
it
dots over
I
time.
don't have like the playthrough on Vega to confirm. Yeah, actually, you know what? I've seen someone do it in Vega in campaign, and he's performing really well. I mean, I do agree that like when the enemies miss their HP, it gets better over time, because he takes enemies. The enemies has lower HP over time, so that it ramps up when the battle goes on. But I don't know if that is already enough on its own to
Okay, so
carry.
outside of Vega, would Rose, Elena, and Honda be a good base, and maybe find a different scale of DPS, or is it that you have to like change it so much that to make it work?
If you did a Dalsim, it could work, because he can solo provide the DPS you need by himself, with his self buffing in damage, and also his defense ignore in his burns. So with that alone, you might fly, because I've used my first team on my triple battle that I'm fighting. I only used Dalsim and E Honda, and the rest is just a support, so it does work.
You got his fighting spirit 30?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's good. It's good.
No, that's it? Come on, man.
I didn't like test it, but I just from feeling his it does improve, but then also it's mainly just because of the stat itself. It helps it also improve. But then I wouldn't say it's gonna be as impactful as the cars, because the cars, after a certain while, the cars, I mean, at the get-go, like if in a short battle, or when you first initially start the game or start the battle sequence, then his FS is really strong. But then as it goes, if you want to put it as, if I rather have plus 30 no cars, or plus 6 no FS 30, I would say the 6 cars no FS 30 would be better in a longer fight.
Interesting.
But having both, it's like it's symbiotic, right? Improves.
So what do you think of this? Hicks or anybody? So just because, okay, so I was just thinking, so a while ago, Dino had mentioned how the devs didn't expect us to get where we were in our chapters so fast, right? And obviously they have I think it's like at the end of 41, 40, everything is like 1500 power level, so that's like a stopgap there. What if these triple teams, double, triple, whatever, are also a way to sort of slow us down, but we're still working through it. So like as the game goes on, what if chapter 36 no longer has double teams? Or maybe it's double teams, but then 37 or 38 isn't triple teams. It's still double teams to like 40.
I do see them spreading it out.
Because it seems the pace is rapid for the amount of teams that need to go up.
I actually had a suggestion in a conversation with I think it might have been Flake at the time, but that's not important. The idea was basically like, so we've roughly established that the mid game starts around 2130, early 20s. That's when you see a major spike in difficulty. Mm-hmm. So like, why don't they just have 2120 and 2140 be the first two team fights, and then just have a couple 2-team fights per chapter as you work your way up, and then work your way up into a couple 3-team fights and more 2-team fights per chapter.
I think
until it's all, you know what I mean? Like that way you're
a little too early for 2 teams.
Well, the actual starting point isn't really relevant so much as the idea of like starting it one time at like 2140 as like you just have a 2-team fight, but the whole chapter isn't like that. Because currently, right now, as soon as you start 2-team fights, it's 2-team fight, do 3, normal. 2-team fight, do 3, 2-team fight, do 3. And then it's 3-team fight, do 3, 3-team fight, do 3. And it just ramps up, but there's no actual blending from 2-team into 3-team into 4-team. Whereas if they started it much earlier and gave us our first 2-team fight in the early to mid 20s, by the time we're at 3624, it would be something like 3620 and 3640 are both 3-team fights, and then all the other steps are 2-team fights, and that would be our step into 3-team content. And then by chapter 40, you'd have all the stages be 3 teams, all the multiple of 4s, and then like the 20 and 40 would be your first 4-team stages, and it would just slowly blend itself rather than, okay, do 1-team content all the way for 36 chapters, now deal with 2-team content for a chapter and a half, now 3-team for half a chapter, now 4-team for a chapter, now 5-team, now you can't do anything, you're done.
I think chapter 30 would probably be a better point to introduce 2 teams, because 2840 is a big wall for anybody who's not already past level break, especially if they haven't been optimal. So I think still use that as like the big first wall. They get past limit break. By then they should be a little bit more established, and then you could like hit them with their first taste of a 2-team at like 30.
I do agree to change the system, but then I don't like to implement like 2 teams, because the problem isn't if you're ready or not. It's just like the units, you don't have a second one built, so then it's more like having hell way earlier, so it might be even worse to actually implement it earlier. I would just think I think they have it, I don't know if they have it in AFK, but then you have the first team like in chapter 36 or something. You have the first 2 team, the battle, like similar difficulty as what you've been handling, and then the second team is maybe lower, like half the power. So then to emphasize that, okay, you're building your second team, so we don't expect your second team fighting the levels that the current team you're fighting. So maybe, for example, instead of 10 million power on the first team, the one that you've been running this whole time to get to 36, and then the second team is like maybe 7 mil or 6 mil power, so like some difference. And to emphasize, okay, my second team isn't as built, then I can slowly build up my second team, and maybe at 36, 37, 38 is all 2 teams. So then the scaling goes higher and higher, and then maybe at the end, the 2 teams, you're gonna have 2 viable teams already ready, or similar, more smoother progression. And then it's the same thing with the 3 teams, but you have 2 teams that's like same level, and then the 3 team maybe is the third team is gonna be power, and it goes on and on until maybe 4 or 5 teams, but then slowly powering the team down makes it more of like a linear progression line rather than just spikes.
I think that they will eventually do something like that because, like how I think what Don mentioned that it's one of the walls, and later on at that point, that wall won't be necessary.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
Yeah, I think as more chapters come out, it'll smooth out. I just think like they're there as part of like, part of the artificial difficulty spike to slow us down because, like, I'm very sure he said it earlier is, I think it was like a couple months ago that they did not expect us to be at the chapters that were even reaching as fast as we did.
Yeah, well, if they hadn't given us a broken.
Yeah, Beastkeep kind of.
Well, I was actually pointing out the difference between bisons in the two editions. If they hadn't given us a broken bison to try and get all of our money, we probably wouldn't be this far because the bison affects both halves of the equation, where the PvE stuff has to be so much harder but also achievable, which means we have to cheese it, which means Begeef becomes stronger, and then it all just kind of goes from there.
yeah, I mean, having Beastgive and Bison, because you're basically having the pillars of damage mitigation and having Beastgive amplify damage as well, and he's basically a really strong utility defensively and offensively, and Bison also defensively. Because you're interrupting all this time, Beastgive cannot soak up all the damage himself, so you need like a Bison, right? Because the difficulty spike is really high.
Yeah.
And he also boosts your damage. So then you're basically having every source of potential damage gain in a team while also maintaining the best defensive mitigation in a team. It's just all the stars fit in line for like a perfect team. Imagine if we were like having like how we tackle factional tower, if how that's how we tackled or campaign stages, right? Where we don't have these OPB Zangief and stuff like that. It'll be definitely the disparity in chapters would be higher because the only players that would reach high chapters without these Geef would be just players who just spend their time like in the game and cheesing their way, because you cannot auto. It's less auto friendly to have other mechanics of interrupt rather than base give.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was gonna say, like, without all this cheese, do you think we'd all be probably, at this point, still in like chapter mid-20s without being able to cheese our way through?
okay, so do you consider bison cheese?
I think early game, yeah, he's pretty cheese. I do think.
All right, after 1540.
I think he's like pretty cheese to like chapter like maybe like I guess like 18, depending if you pulled him and got him built and stuff like that. Just because the computer's pretty good at blowing you up, but this is because we're going through. So I guess if we're at like parity, then yeah, he's mega cheese.
Okay, because the reason why I asked is because like I don't beat Sengi, but I do bison.
Yeah. So
and I do acknowledge that bison accelerates
Yeah.
the game, not like beat Sengi, but just his damage and buffs and just immortality, just him being the guy
Like-
that takes up 90% of the damage is huge.
like Steps of Honor, I never been in the running for it or whatever, but I can see how Beastkeef would change that over Bison very early on, because you can just interrupt and crush through everything that you're not supposed to be able to do. Bison still has to get hit, and then while he's exploding, your team is vulnerable, so there's still opportunity for your team to be killed while he's in his quote unquote invulnerable stage, because the rest of your team is vulnerable. So like there's still room to die there. Where Beastkeef, you just shut them down.
Yeah. So
I would say,
I'm at 15. Well, I'm at 13. Whoa, I don't know where I'm at. Hold on.
You're at 33-20.
33-12. I'm at 33-12, not 33-12. I'm
Yeah.
stuck at 33-12. With Bison, I got Bison post 15-40.
But you're also
Sure.
level, 304, which isn't, still doing work. You know what I mean? Like you're still levels, I guess, or more online. Like what levels? How high is the enemy above you in terms of levels?
Right now they're 366 versus my 304.
Okay, yeah. See, so then having Beastkeef, you push into the 100 above you.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like
Like
without
66
that,
at this point
without
seems
that, I'm not
reasonable.
that far. Like I'm not that far behind. Like I'm not that far ahead, but like I'm not stuck all the way behind. And I'm playing since day one, so 4 months in.
What's your tower at?
My tower is. I've actually been carrying a little bit more because people have been yelling at me. My regular is 400.
Okay, it's pretty good.
My thunder is 188. My wind is 187, and my flame is 191.
Okay, so I mean, you don't have Beastkeef and Flame or Thunder, and then we don't have Bison in either of them. But your normal towers look pretty good. But I think with your team, and if you were using Bizang cheese, you'd probably be at like what, like 440?
Probably. Maybe
Six?
higher.
You've pushed. I haven't really pushed my tower. I haven't
Oh,
pushed my challenge.
Where
or
are
my
you at
tower.
tower ticks?
340. You might need 310, not because you're gated in power, like total team power. So then going up the story, if you use beast cheese,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know.
power gap, power limit. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't know how the hell they're weaker in the tower. Like the deficit is way more than campaign, but then they're weaker, right?
Yeah, no, hands down. Because right
Well, in
now
the
the
tower,
difference,
they don't have assists. I don't. I
they
wouldn't
don't
even. I
have
would even almost
assists,
bet. I would
cars,
almost bet that their
or
gear
fighting
is
spirit.
not as high either in tower.
Yeah, they don't.
Their unit strength, like in terms of stars, is there, but I think that behind the scenes the gear is weaker.
So I'm gonna share my screen real quick for those that you guys can see.
And also the super, they get delayed really like
Yeah.
a lot in the tower.
Oh, I was gonna ask one thing. Have you guys noticed? Have you guys noticed? It seems that the computer plays around Bizang more. Like if you activate and prepare your Bizang too early, the computer will delay combo now until your Bizang is like almost out, and then they'll do their super. Like the timing, I feel, has like gotten a little bit smaller. It's sort of like complete coincidence. I don't know, because like even Cody, I was timing Cody for the longest time, and I noticed that he would not do his super. Like I think it was whatever it is. Hold on, let me think. I think it was like Tower 391 or something like that. So if I did super at like 85 seconds or whatever, Cody would do it. Or no, sorry, it was like 84 seconds, Cody would do it. If I did it at 86, Cody just would not do super at all until my stuff was gone, and then he would do super.
Damn, I lost my final showdown. Rip.
See this move, sudden glitch we do. Instant effects, your auto attack. I don't know. It just like felt like my timing for the way I normally did things is like, why is the computer pocketing their combo so long now? I was like, they're playing around me now.
They did
You know what
say. I
mean?
mean, they mentioned that they're keeping an eye on like the meta and units and stuff like that, and trying to find I guess, alternatives and solutions
Yeah, I mean,
to
I'm not against it. If they're like making the computer play against us
make
with
it
that stuff,
smarter.
I think that's like, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna say that's a terrible thing. It
That's
just
cool.
makes you have to get better timing.
Yeah.
Give us more tools. I don't know. I feel like we have like a lot of tools though.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I think I was just about to say,
We have
give
five
us
tunes in the game that could.
probably
If we had 5 tunes in the game that could AOE interrupt, we would be all be at 4140 waiting for next content.
well, that's what I was saying, because like I guess this could be the last topic real quick because we
Yeah.
pushed so far, or maybe we could do this as a private conversation. But the question becomes, what and then is the solution in the minds of a dev, not as a player base, in the minds of a dev is how do you fix this, or how do you put a band-aid on it, or what is the solution? Because
Here's
it's
the
like,
thing.
do you make another unit with like B Thingy and AoE stun, or
Say just make it a norm. Like the current progression we have right now, just make that a norm and then build.
annoying? What do you think, Don? Like,
I think okay, so this Path of Exile has this problem. Destiny has this problem where they try to balance the game around the 1%. And as a result, the rest of everything else suffers. So say in Path of Exile, say that there's a synergy between two skills that absolutely is broken. Every top player is using it. And like they could have say balanced these two things differently, but they decided to just go, they just cut them at the legs. And as a result, builds that didn't directly benefit from like say some broken interaction, but like their build still needed something from it, like not the broken part of it, but like just say dots for example. And they nerf that, and then suddenly all these builds that were like semi-viable no longer work, and then it like makes the amount of builds you can use smaller. Like they end up doing the opposite of what they're aiming to do by trying to balance around the 1%. That makes sense? You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So Destiny does it. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like, I think, yeah, like they're giving us these crazy walls and stuff like that. But the thing is, we have to also think about what if they change too much? Like, what about the rest of the players that aren't doing the crazy pushing like this? How would those changes affect players not quite there? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So that's the question. Is like, what is the solution? Like you're sitting there at the desk as a dev, somewhere in China, and you're like,
Mhm.
what now? What do you do?
The thing is,
It's a
That's why
hard
I'm
question. That's the thing.
it is.
That's
It is
why.
like
So the
I know
reason
that
why, because I
we
like
would
to play
like
devil's
things, but
advocate in this instance.
the thing is that there's also like an effect on the rest of like the community,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
I
So
don't know.
like, how do you fix this? Do you make another unit like B Thangy? Do you? Yeah, not you can't nerf B Thangy. That's a dangerous option. Do you stealth code effect resistance a little bit more differently? Like,
Well, I mean, okay, so say they change effect resistance, right? And that sounds really good to counter Beastkeef. Suddenly your Dalsum's weaker. Suddenly Poison's way weaker. Suddenly all of these other units are weaker for not even being broken, but they're being weakened by because of a broken unit.
mm-hmm.
Just because they share the same stat with that unit, you know? So it's difficult because then if you nerf the unit directly, you're gonna, get a whole bunch of backlash from people who may have spent real money, blah blah blah, put a lot of time and resources into that unit, and that's another can of worms. So I don't know. I'm just gonna say, for how late this game is right now, blah blah blah. Kind of glad I'm not a game dev.
Yeah, cause like being being a mod and seeing it differently, where like there's a lot of the times where I agree with the community. I'm like, yeah, some things are not cool, yeah, some things whatever, but I also am understanding and learning the, the industry on the side.
Mhm.
So it's like, man, things I've learned I'd never thought of as a player in other games. And I think back on like a lot of the games, like how you mentioned Destiny. I mean, the Division, all these
Yeah.
games where like people are
Well, okay,
telling
you
devs, "Hey, do this, do that. This build is to this," and I'm just like sitting here on the side now, knowing more information. I do not envy the devs in any situation because it's hard. Because like sitting here now, I'm not getting paid for this. I could imagine the stress of getting paid trying to figure this out.
I was gonna say, like, you've played the division, so you've seen like when they completely gut shotgun meta and people are like, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
like, why did you do this? Like, you ruined everything. It's like, we did this because of PvP. And then it's like, well, now we can't use shotguns in PvE. Like, they're useless. And now all of our PvE builds, we don't even do PvP, don't
yeah.
work.
I was that guy. I don't even do PvP, and then when they kill him, I'm just like, bro, you
Yeah,
just all my hours of work just gone down the
yeah,
drain because douche nozzles over here want to farm Timmys and Billies and make them cry. Like I'm not
yeah,
making Timmy and Billy cry, so why am I getting punished for that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That brings up old age.
It's a difficult dance, and I think that's why I think you just don't balance around the 1%, but like as like 1% of players. But if like there's like one specific unit that's doing something, okay, maybe you just change that unit in a way that only affects that unit and doesn't like take other units out in the crossfire.
So change the percentage of his stun/interrupt to like 10%.
Like, I mean, it's drastic. It's drastic. But say they instead of base being 10, it's 7, and then at whatever it's like 14.
Like the more consecutive the hits, the higher it gets, but at low percentage, at low hits and a low number or something.
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 Or like you're still going to get the stun and you could still probably cheese your way around it if you're persistent enough, but it's like it might be so annoying that someone might not do it and then they're going to figure another way out. I don't know, like this is why I'm not a game dev.
Or
I'm just
change
spitting stuff out.
stun to be like silence, where after the stun wears off, they still do their combo.
Well, this then that would completely defeat the purpose of it, and then like Honda's interrupt would be useless. You see what I'm saying? Like other units would then suffer because of that
I
change.
mean, it would buy time. It just wouldn't cancel. Like there's such a definitive notion of canceling is what the issue is in my opinion.
Yeah, but the thing is, Beastkeep has such a because they can do everybody. It's such a high rate on its one unit. You have to play around that one unit. You have to do things to make sure you're hit. Like you gotta play around using his specific one. Beastkeep, you just press a button, right? It doesn't even matter where they're positioned. Like even okay, so like with if you're using Viper or like Poison, you can, if you're not careful, you can bop. If they're saying doing like a backline attack, you can bop the enemy outside of Beastkeep's range. So like when you use Viper, you do the C1, their backline gets knocked back. But if you do immediate C1 and then try to cook the C2, by the time they attack, you're gonna miss them because they're not close enough. So you gotta like cook the C1 and the C2 in order to get Bizang's interrupt off a C Viper super.
What do you think, Tix?
What? Sorry. Oh, what was the question?
Like, how would you say like I guess
So
mess
you're a
around with
dev.
AOE
Yeah, you're a
balancing,
dev.
interrupt situation.
Remember, you're a dev. You're not player based. You're not free to play text. You're sitting in China at a desk, the computer in front of you, and your task is fix the issue we have with B Zangief or interrupt, stun, whatever, without impacting anyone outside of B Zangief.
Okay. So the best solution to that, I don't go to this approach. But if that is the problem at hand, then I would progressively increase the level or the effect resistance of the enemy as they scale stats, HP, and attack as well.
But that
Or they have more units to implement to negate that.
but that impacts other units. You can't impact other units. You can only
Then
impact
okay,
B Zangief.
if instead of that they just say okay, stuns and stuff like that, like silence and stuff, it's harder to apply, but then those dot effects are calculated differently, so then the value of interrupts or stun isn't as great. Maybe it's harder to land, or maybe the duration is short, like the OG Blanca's duration is short, so it still does interrupt, but then it does not interrupt the full chain. It just interrupts that subsequent current skill, not the overall combo chain. But that's an extreme. I don't know why they would do that. I like the game how it is as a player.
Teaser.
Yeah, yeah, as a player for sure. But I'm just saying, like, just like how would they, go about balancing that? But like, obviously not go too crazy in affecting other units, right? Because
I have the greatest solution. Just go over B Zangief files, right click, delete, and you're good to go.
no, we don't delete anything.
You're good to go.
Zangief is so damn good. I love him.
We still use them. We still use them.
Just
I'm
get
gonna
it.
I will. Zangief is a good enjoyment factor. Game properly.
Yeah, no, I just love pulling people's legs because it's like, watch, we don't have him anymore, but he's still there in PvE. Look, I am looking forward to if Mommy Dawson becomes the next B Zangief. I would laugh. I would laugh. I would absolutely laugh.
Oh, so you'll interrupt cheese if it's a dozen?
Yeah,
Because
supposedly
our certified targeted hater. I see.
C
You just
C2.
don't like strong men with wolf pelts. I see you.
Apparently his C2 has like a stun or something, an AOE stun, but it's not like
his passive. His passive is it's geared towards poison target, and then one of that skill. It's not the whole passive doesn't only revolve around that, but poison target can get stunned when the next hit, or poison target after X period of time it turns into a stun or something like that. It's in the passive, and then the skills just gives the poison.
so C1, so it'd be like super, someone else, C2 stun.
Wait, are you saying it would work like the Whiplash dude, where you know how you got that little timer and you got a little thing, but then after a bit, your guys are all like, ugh. Like, you know which guild boss I'm talking about? The dude with the whippy chains, the electric dude. Like, would it work similar to that?
What do you mean by
I forgot. He's got the two. He slaps the ground, and at one point he slaps the ground. You get like an effect on you, and after a certain time, the effect wears off, and your whole team gets stunned. So the guy,
something like that, I think.
oh, that would be crazy.
I heard that the intervals are so short that even when you can't control it, it's enough RNG to make it consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just saying that effect is nuts, and if we can have that effect, that's actually.
So if that's the case, I'm gonna laugh. I'm just gonna laugh my ass off because it's just now Dawson on a different various level is badass on both multiple units, and I'm just like, yes. And it gives me a slight loophole to get out of the beef and geese cheese.
Ah,
No, it's just beef Angus cheese with another name.
No,
Get out of here.
no. See
No.
I can sell it
No.
as it's the swag of Dawson that makes it.
No,
Cool.
it's the
No,
same thing, just with a different skin.
Because the RNG of it makes it even more better that I could sell it. I could sell it that I'm trusting in the gods to stun instead of just saying I could press the button and win.
But I mean, you're
Because,
still
like,
you're
Dawson,
still,
like,
you're
it
still
sounds
committing
like-
yourself to the gods with beef
It's
little
no.
bit.
Here's
It's like,
the other thing.
without cards, it's like 52% probability.
Wait. Here's the other
and then
thing.
with it, it's
The
like
other thing is that I could also sell Mummy Dawson as the auto god of intervals because you can't auto with Bisengi. If the RNG is enough on this Dawson, on Mummy Dawson, you can literally just go auto and go.
I mean, that'll be really good for people who can't play on manual. That's actually a positive.
Yeah, like I'm
That would actually be a huge positive.
I'm hyped for a Dawson. I hope they don't mess him up. So on that note, I think this is a good time to end the podcast. Thank you for listening. Stay happy, stay hydrated, stay alive. Subscribe. It's your turtle and Friday Fighters out. Have a good night, everyone.